options for 2013, and I think we have some additional information in this. Jim?
I talked to then I talked to Courtney Shasma from the DLG. Whitley County is a levy freeze county starting in 2013. The new council will need to be that we don't really at this time need to make any changes, and that was the levy freeze counties. We don't want to change the way that we have it currently. And the memo that was sent out was sent to all counties in case there was counties that had decided to freeze their levies for 2013, which we were not aware of already. There's only 11 counties that are in the levy freeze, and we don't want to do that. We want to be able to have our levies, tax rates moved by the way our assessed values come in every year. We don't want to freeze them to the point then we'd be like a cum caps and never change them again or anything. So we don't want to take any action on this because we don't want to change the way we're currently doing it. So that was just formality to offer it to us. But it's not something you'd want to look at because it's a big thing to what he puts in here, thaw them once we freeze them. So that's an explanation on that.
No action is the correct action.
Right, no action by the council.
Next on our agenda is the commissioner's report.
Okay, I'll make it really short and sweet. There's not much here. At our previous meeting on Monday, Scott Wagner came to us. He has a home in Cherubusco that was a meth operation was going on there. He asked to get a quote for, test to see what the meth levels were in the home. We approved that. These expenses that we approve are just rolled back on the taxpayer's bill. These are not expenses that we're going to pay. We roll them right back on the tax bill. In this case, I think it was $1,482. That'll go on the tax bill, and if and when the house is sold, I assume it'll be sold someday, we will get our money back for that. Also, there's a junk and trash violation down on State Road 114. We put out a bid to remove the junk and trash, and this has gone through all the process, and throughout the entire process, the landowner has never acknowledged anything. So the court went ahead and gave us approval to remove the junk and trash. We got a quote to do that from Shankster Brothers. We only received one quote, Shankster Brothers, and that quote was for $5,000, and that too will be put right back on the land and rolled back if and when that land ever gets sold. Jarrell was here, and so that was the same. We already talked about that. I guess we discussed some other health department policies. The health department is in the process of revising the way they do restaurant food inspections, but that's not in our hands yet. That's still in their hands. They just wanted us to know they're looking at that. We signed a letter of authorization to what we've always known as Manatron. It's now, Manatron was purchased by Thomas Reuter. We've accepted their contract to provide the tax bills. These are the people that always provide the tax bill, the physical bill that you get, and with all the breakdown and everything. So we signed that in. That money comes from the treasurer's office. That's in their budget. We reappointed Dr. Richard Dickmeyer and Grace Lauder to the Health Board. We approved a utility permit for NIPSCO and one for Frontier. The longevity payout, we just set the date, right? Is that what we did?
They did, yeah.
So longevity will come out in the
November
19th. John, you have border on yours.
Yes.
Can we talk about that right
Yes.
now? I think if you look at it, you get a smile on your face when you see that we've had a total savings of 14,1053. But George, the ever astute businessman, that picked up that, look at the last 6 months and how we've been off.
Yeah.
So that doesn't seem right. So we're gonna be talking with Border about that one because savings look great for 6 months, but then doesn't appear to be any savings. In fact, a loss of savings. So we need to talk to Border and find out what that's all about. So I didn't know what you were gonna talk about, but that was what we talked about in our meeting is we wanna get Border in here and, is it Payne? Tom Payne back in here. Talk with him about why the last 6
Explain
months.
why
have
that's
been-
changed.
Looks pretty wacky to us. Received a couple IDEM notices, nothing real big. They approved, the SDI rail operation. There's they're applying for a permit and it's in the notification process right now. We're in the 30-day notification process. The only comment I had was, the state had an incorrect address for that location. They had 26011 when it should have been 2601. I sent the state an email telling them they need to change that location. The other IDEM notice was several months ago, well, March, as a matter of fact. I testified at a Huntertown meeting. IDEM was there to talk about their wastewater plant. And I testified that we simply had a concern. Originally, when they talked about putting in a wastewater plant in Huntertown, they would discharge 575,000 gallons a day of water down the Geller Ditch, which we affectionately know as Eel River. And I was assured by Brandon and others that that is not an issue. We can take 575,000 gallons a day. It has no effect on anything. But when the permit was applied for and the public comment was, they actually applied to go up to 1.4 million gallons per day. And I just simply attended that meeting and said, I don't think especially the farmers of Whitley County who already get flooded when we have big rains in the Eel River, I don't think they deserve to get more water from people flushing their toilets in Huntertown. And so the bottom line was IDEM did deny their request, but I think I read in the morning paper where Huntertown's appealing their decision. But and IDEM really kind of said for the same thing. The Geller Ditch is really no place to put that kind of water. That's a bad spot. So,
Don, does that Geller Ditch, does it turn into the Eel River at Whitley County line or where at?
I honestly think around US 33 where it runs under. I just, when I looked at maps, it said Geller Ditch a little to the northeast of there.
Well, that's close to the county line.
But then it starts to, it calls it Eel River. So I don't know technically. That's a good question.
Between Carroll Road and 33.
Eel River Golf Course would be the county line.
Mm-hmm.
Does that be?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's somewhere in that area. It goes from. So I guess if it's in Allen County, I guess it's Geller Ditch. Really, Whitley County, it becomes Eel River.
That's the way I always took it to be.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that's just my assumption, I guess.
Okay, back in that other thing, you were talking about the other IDEM thing, and SDI, they just adding some more rail out there, or is that what that is, or just moving their rail a little?
You know, Tom, I tell you the truth, I read the doggone thing.
And you don't know what, after you read it, you're not sure.
They are putting out a notice of public comment. You've been identified as someone who could potentially be affected by this proposed air permit.
Oh, it's not, I thought you said rail.
It's an air permit for the rail operation.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
thought
no,
you
no,
meant
no,
to- I
no,
thought
it
you
is that
meant the
confusing,
railroad.
pal, it is that confusing. The Indiana Department of Environmental Management has received an application from Steel Dynamics Structural and Rail Division located at 26011 County Road 700 East. And that caught my eye, and I
Okay.
read the rest of it, and
Yeah, no,
Don, I
okay.
think that's actually is to reduce what they're allowed to put out.
okay. I can't comment on that. 'cause I'm
Well,
not-
the reason for that, I think, is because of, what's Obbins? Called the new industry going into Rail Connect Park, and it'll make, blocks of steel from, wires. I think they have to get a permit and make the thing balance out. Steel Dynamics has to lower theirs so they can raise
Okay,
theirs.
I believe that went through okay.
Yeah, I think.
I
it
believe
did.
I read where
The recycle processes did
they
similar
got
through.
their permit okay.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I can look at this stuff. That doesn't mean I understand everything I read about that. We are in the process, Friday, we will repurchase a replacement car for Craig Wagner. That was a heck of a process, I'm gonna tell you right now. That was a real process to try to buy a car. I think back to my car sales days, and I wish somebody wanted to buy a car as bad as I did when it would have come to me. But it was just finding something we could live with financially, and that Craig could live with. So, but what we are doing, we are buying a car out of stock from City Ford for that. So we'll do that on Friday, and Mr. Wagner will be back in a car again. The thing I heard over and over, and when we were talking about CEDIT, and I don't disagree, is that we have to be flexible. Things happen, things change. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to change something if you want to, and if you don't want to, I don't really care. When we put the boiler chiller system in at the courthouse, Havel's totally agreed to wait for the $75,000 until the first of the year. Totally agreed. And I simply brought up in the commissioners meeting the other day, look, we have plenty of money in the CEDIT fund right now. Can we go ahead and pay them the bill? And the vote was 2-1. Tom opposed paying the bill now, and George and I were in favor of paying the bill now. And I'm just asking this group, what do you want to do? We have the money. Do you want to pay the bill now? I'm sorry. One of the concerns was, would there be a tax consequence to Havel's if we paid it early? Were they planning on that money in 13?
Ask them.
I did. They said, "Oh, we'll take that money anytime we can get it." So I got that question. I got that question answered. No, they're not planning on it.
Is
So
the job completed?
job is completed. Yes, sir.
I'd say pay it then.
Yeah, I'd
Let
say
them know where
pay
it's
it.
I'm gonna
going.
leave that up to you guys.
I move we pay it.
You pay it, as long as it's satisfactory.
Not a motion.
Yes, I move we pay it.
Yeah,
I'll second.
but also they had.
Motion and second, any additional discussion?
Well, I just wanna make sure, so the only reason you're asking this is because it was estimated that we wouldn't pay it till 2013, and now the work is done, so we can go ahead and pay it now, because we never really asked for that to be extended to 2013, did we?
Yes.
Because the CEDIT plan, the way it was written, with the ambulance purchase, we didn't really have the money.
But now,
Okay.
we do.
We did.
And it was in that project, you put it in that project, right?
Correct.
So it's correctly,
But if you read that project, and I'm sorry, I probably do have it here, it states that this money is to be paid in 2013. It was a 2013 project. but
Basically changing the CEDIT.
I'm just asking that whether you all want to just pay it now to them. They will gladly accept it, so.
Motion and second, any additional discussion?
How long's it been done, Don? the complete project?
No, I didn't really pay too much attention.
I would
Oh,
say at least a month, month
It's
and a
not been
half.
Okay.
much more than that.
Columbus Day. Columbus Day, since the courthouse was shut down, they worked hard that day doing they had cranes in here. The first crane that came in was, the cable came off the top. It cost them 2 hours to put that, but basically Columbus Day is the day they did the major move in, move out stuff, so somewhere in that area.
One thing I have to say on it, I'm not opposed to paying them early, but I don't think I'd get in a big hurry. Just because of mechanical, you know, the equipment, I've seen brand new equipment fail.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
I just think you ought to wait at least 60 days or whatever, you know, just to make sure everything, all the bugs are worked out and everything, so.
Well, if you wait 60 days, then
That's pretty
then
much
you're
next
just gonna
year.
do it, you're gonna do it like that we
Well, I'd
originally
just
agreed.
wait, you know, I wouldn't get in a big hurry, that's just my opinion. 'Cause
And my only response to that is, isn't that what warranty is for? That's my only response to that, so.
If you wanna battle that, then that'll be up to the commissioners.
No, I'm gonna leave it up to the group because we're fine. We said we'll pay it in 13, but we just thought we had the money. Let's run it up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes it, so.
We have a motion and second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor of the motion signify by your right hand. Those opposed, the same. 6-1.
I guess the only other thing I wanted to comment was about the Veteran Service Office. I don't want us to be a group who says we don't care for our veterans. That's very important to me. I was never in a war zone. I only spent 8 years in the Air Guard. We did defend Boise, Idaho for 2 weeks one time, and it was not attacked while we were there. So I feel that was successful. But that said, golly, ladies and gentlemen, we have so many more veterans now than we did. And Gene does tremendous work, but this Mr. Eckert, I think I have heard nothing but great comments about this Mr. Eckert, and I think it is time that we probably look at upgrading that particular office, but that's just me, that's just Don talking, so.
I agree with you, that was the reason I made that motion, I did look into it, I don't want to just dump that. But my question, I guess, is, are we doing this for Mr. Eckert, or are we doing it because we need the person?
That's what we need to find out.
Well, and we need some numbers. I mean, we need to know, what rate of pay you're talking about. We need to know
What was that, 15?
Thought he told you.
$15, but
15 hours a month.
15 hours.
$10
$10
an hour.
an hour.
I come out of the $150 a week is what I come
Yeah,
out
that's right.
in my pea brain head.
And then we would need, I don't know, just-
7,500.
More information.
Yeah.
which I don't think any of us implied at all that we're not for our veterans. I mean, my dad's a veteran, my brother's going, he's a lifer.
I just want to be careful we don't go, we
I
don't
want to
go
make sure
there.
it's clear that no one implied that we
Yeah.
don't care about
Yeah.
the veterans.
The other thing that Jenny reminded me of, and it is a big deal, and that is, we sent off a letter to the DNR 2-3 months ago stating we really don't want those properties. We really don't want the fish hatchery property. We really don't want Camp Samaritan. There's nothing we can do with it. It'll just end up costing the taxpayers, not benefiting them. In the meantime, why Camp Whitley came along to us, and Camp Whitley is very interested in Camp Samaritan, so that seems like a win-win to me. I'm pretty excited about that. So we notified the state of that, but we just never got a return. So finally last week, George, since it really is in his district, George kind of took the bull by the horns, got a hold of the people at DNR. DNR, I don't want to say happily, I don't want to say reluctantly, but they will take back the fish hatchery road, or fish hatchery building and property. And they will look at, as long as Camp Whitley will send them all their 501c3 information, they will take a look at giving that to Camp Whitley. So that's where we are right now. We will be doing I thought it was a quitclaim deed, but Jenny says it's a